Democratic Senator from California, Adam Schiff. Senator Schiff, thank you so much for being here with us today. And let's jump right in. Can I get your reaction here on these new expected executive orders here to tariff aluminum and steel as well?
Well, these tariffs, if they're not targeted, if they're broad in their impact, are really going to affect Americans. They're going to drive prices up. We have probably the top issue in California and perhaps around the country is the lack of affordable housing. If you increase the cost of building materials, you're going to drive housing costs up even further. If those tariffs are expanded or if other countries retaliate against other industries, like the agriculture industry, we're going to see food prices go up. So in addition to all of these actions that are going to drive prices higher, a lot of the president's other actions, such as the mass deportations, which are going to keep farm workers out of the farms and also deprive our construction workforce of a lot of the manpower they need, that's further going to drive up prices. The cuts are going to have other impacts. The NIH cuts are going to deeply affect cancer research and drug trials and clinical trials of all kinds. And these actions are going to be deeply felt by the American people.
Do you think, though, if they were more specific on aluminum and steel and some of these products, that you would support that? And then do you think that that would drive up domestic production?
I think there are definitely cases that can be made for very targeted tariffs. But what we've seen here in tariffs applied potentially to whole countries and across the board, that kind of indiscriminate blanket tariff is just going to punish us as much as it punishes anyone else. What I fully expected is the president would announce these broader tariffs and then make some face-saving deal and claim victory that might be.
All right, we're having a little bit of a technical issue there. Obviously, it froze on our Senator Adam Schiff. We do hope that we can touch base with him again because we certainly have a lot of important things to discuss. So we'll make an effort there. Also, we want to continue on, though, because we're also looking at the CDC and these levels of bird flu and general flu nationwide. The CDC levels right now are at their highest since the peak of the 2009 swine flu pandemic. And just last week, nearly 8% of doctors' visits were related to respiratory illness. There were 10 influenza-associated deaths for a total of 57 deaths so far this season. And ABC's Rena Roy has more on the increasing flu figures and what you can do to stay healthy.
Flu cases are surging across much of the country. 19 states seeing high flu activity, according to the CDC. Data showing the rate of people seeking medical care for flu-like symptoms from fever to cough and sore throat is the highest since the 2009 swine flu outbreak.
Flu season started early and it spread very quickly. The strains that are going around happen to be very, very contagious and can cause severe illness.
About 31% of tests for flu are coming back positive, nearly double the peak from last season. Kentucky reporting its first pediatric death over the weekend, 10 kids dying from influenza in just the last week. In Oklahoma, experts say they're battling flu levels that they haven't seen there in years.
These hospitalizations are lining up more with what we saw in the previously kind of historic levels of influenza season back in 2017 to 2018.
And the science shows that your best line of defense here is the flu vaccine. Unfortunately, experts say vaccination rates have been very low this year, but it's not too late to get that shot with several weeks to go before peak flu season is over. Kana?
All right, Rena Roy, our thanks to you. I appreciate that. I now want to bring back in our Democratic Senator from California, Adam Schiff. We had a bit of a technical difficulty there. Senator, thank you for staying here with us and sort of rolling with the punches. I do appreciate that. I want to ask you about this potential looming government shutdown. Over the weekend, Democratic Senator Andy Kim suggested that perhaps Democrats would consider actually blocking this upcoming spending agreement, shutting down the government. Would you support that move? And do you think doing that would change anything about perhaps how Elon Musk and Doge are operating?
I want to do everything possible to avoid a government shutdown. If there is a shutdown, this is going to be a shutdown that Donald Trump wants or invites. We are certainly going to fight for our constituents and make sure that these funding freezes don't go in effect without congressional approval. That's a usurpation of Congress's power of the purse. And what's more, it's doing real harm to Americans throughout the country. So we're going to make sure that we protect our constituents But if Donald Trump wants to shut down the government, as indeed he wanted to last time he was president, he'll do it. But it's certainly not something that I would advocate or support. I intend to instead fight to make sure that Congress responsibly passes a budget, that we fund the priorities of the American people, that we not essentially decimate the federal government to fund tax cuts for the rich and large corporations. That seems to be the central animating force of Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Well, I think that the Republicans would push back there on the idea that that's the central animating force there. But in terms of opposition to Trump's administration, Democrats have been loud about it. They're ramping up the opposition. But in your mind, has it been effective at all? And what really is the future of the Democratic Party? Are you going to bring policies to the table to help Americans or continue just direct opposition?
Well, we've always brought policies to the American people designed to help the American people by expanding healthcare access, as we did with the Affordable Care Act, with even broader healthcare coverage, as many of us are advocating, with an expanded Medicare proposal, as we did in the infrastructure bill and the Chips and Sciences Act. We've had a very positive agenda, but we are going to, yes, continue to fight what this administration is doing when it's harming the American people, and we will fight it in any number of ways. We're fighting it with oversight and investigations that are exposing Elon Musk's many conflicts of interest, the president's own conflicts of interest, the double dealing. We are also taking to the Senate floor to make the public case about the harms that they're doing to individual American families, how they're doing nothing about reducing the cost of living or attacking high prices. In fact, prices are going up for staples like the groceries that Americans are buying. And we are using litigation and using it successfully. So we're using a number of different strategies. In the minority, we don't have some magical legislative button that we can push, but we're using every lever we can.
All right, certainly so much more to talk about here in the coming weeks and months. Senator Schiff, thank you so much for being on with us today. We appreciate your time.